Hi everyone and welcome back to the Pokémon Emerald Hardcore Soul Run series, today featuring Beautifly. I've completed a Dustox run in the past and since then I've been curious to see how its counterpart would fare. At the time I asked your opinion on who'd be better between the two Rumpole evolutions, and the general consensus seemed to be that Beautifly is the inferior one. And honestly, I agreed with you. Before going into detail, let me briefly explain my Soul Run rules since they are kinda unique. A hardcore Soul Run doesn't allow items in battle and most importantly is played with level caps, so overleveling is not an option to get past a tough opponent. A level cap is all it takes to make most Soul Runs straight up impossible, so here are two extra major adjustments. I allow myself to train multiple Pokémon of the chosen species, of course keeping the limit of one in battle, and things like tutor moves, TMs and items in general are infinite. I'm trying to keep the rules section as short as possible, but if you're interested, I recently made a video that goes more in depth on my rule set. Now, before starting, because I know it's a controversial topic, I must address my approach to grinding. And basically, I skip it with PK hacks and a couple of extra tools made by myself. I also have a video about this topic that better explains why this is necessary and how I do it. Check it out if it's something you care about. With all of that out of the way, let's take a closer look to Beautifly. Beautifly is a bug-flying Pokémon whose only ability is Swarm, which grants a 50% boost to bug moves while under a third of total HP. Not the best considering the lack of bug moves in Generation 3, but we'll take it. Despite its physical dual typing, stat-wise Beautifly is mainly a special attacker with a juicy 90 base special attack. The physical attack is still solid, 70 is not a value to scoff at, and the defenses, while clearly Beautifly worst department, are far from what I can consider awful, especially since the base HP is not too bad either. Last but not least, speed is great and I don't foresee it being a problem at any point of the run. All in all, Beautifly is a fully evolved Pokémon and the stats are there to show it. As for the moveset, this is where I get a bit concerned. The level up moves are interesting with early grass coverage, access to a healing move and even an Omniboost move at level 34. But Silverwind, with its 60 base power, is also the only bug move I'll ever get access to, excluding maybe a specific hidden power. And if this already wasn't what I'd call good coverage, the list of learnable TMs doesn't really turn the situation around. There's no denying that access to Psychic and Shadow Ball is great, but other than that, all we have here is more grass moves, the usual normal moves, and our second and last stab option, Aerial Ace. Too bad that we'll have to wait until Winona's badge, and with only 60 base power, it really isn't late game material. Just like Dustox, Beautifly doesn't have any egg moves since all Rumpole can learn is Tackle, String Shot and Poison Sting, but at least we have access to Harden thanks to Silcoon. And that's a useful tool to have in the shed. That's all there is to know going into the run, so let's finally start. Beautifly doesn't really have a bad matchup when it comes to the rival, but I figured giving May the Fire starter would be the most challenging one. While I deal with May and make my way to Rustboro, let's talk about the elephant in the room. With a 4 times weakness to Rock, Roxanne is looking like a massive brick wall. And as I picked up this run, I felt the same way. Until I ran some calculations. You know how tight is the early game EV training? Like, no matter how efficient you are, it's difficult to have a lot of EVs on a Pokémon given a level cap of 15. But turns out, using the correct strategy, Beautifly could take on Roxanne even with no EV training at all. And I'm here to show you. The first thing you need to know is that, given how fast is Beautifly, I have no way to avoid the enemy selecting Rock Tomb. The Gen 3 AI hates to be slower, so it will do everything in its power to get that sweet speed advantage. Due to my typing, a single Rock Tomb would straight up one-shot me, unless I give myself a defense boost with Harden. Not sure why I equipped an Oran Berry here. I guess it felt wrong to not have an item on my Pokémon, but I truly don't need it since Absorb will one-shot both Geodude, putting me back to full HP. And yes, while that happens, I suppose I should address the fact that I actually EV trained a bit. But that has little to do with this battle. I just needed some EXP to reach level 15, and I used the occasion to give me some stats that will be useful in a later fight. Anyway, since I got hit by one Rock Tomb and Marie has a speed hindering nature, I now speed tie with Nosepass. And that's what's going to bring me to victory. As long as this Nosepass doesn't feel the need to slow me down, Rock Tomb won't be selected unless I'm in key range, and until then it will stick to Harden or Tackle. Rock Tomb highest roll is 40, and as you can see, Absorb can heal back any damage Nosepass deals with Tackle. So yeah, Potion will make this take a bit longer than needed, but it is a safe victory against Roxanne, and we take those. Wait, did Nosepass just try to use Rock Tomb there? Am I faster? No, I shouldn't be. 26 speed at -1 means with speed tie, I double checked it. And again, not in key range. He's back to using Tackle, maybe I was hallucinating. No, it's real. And here is Rock Tomb again. And this time it hits me. And with no crit to bail me out, odds are I won't have a chance to give the final blow. Yeah, first reset of the run right here. Didn't see this one coming. It's not a big deal by itself, I can play around this by simply using a couple of extra Harden here and there, but I thought my strategy was foolproof since I used it in so many runs. Like when back then I played my double level Nuzlocke, exploiting the AI like this was the only way to get past Roxanne. For future runs I'll have to be more careful, it seems. Anyway, a second round is enough to get the win, and I think it's acceptable to skip most of it, since it's basically only a matter of spamming Harden and Absorb. It's funny how Beautifly, despite having a much worse typing and a lower defense than Dustox, was yet able to get past Roxanne with much less trouble. In my mind, I can't avoid to contrast the two as I play, so the comparison will come up from time to time. One thing I can tell shows no differences is the Broly fight. With yet again a 4 times resistance to fighting, I can't imagine a victory more free than this one. But before going into the second gym leader fight, I must make a stop in Slatepod to pick up the M46, Thief. A potentially crucial move for the first segment of the run. Let's just fight Broly now. Marie's attack is now fairly high, with a bunch of EVs put into it, a brave nature, and Roxanne badge boost on top of it. Thanks to all of this, in this match, Gust is absolutely deadly. Machop goes down, and so would Meditite, if it wasn't that I'm a bit paranoid, probably due to that unexpected reset against Roxanne. So, by taking a seemingly unnecessary long road, I go ahead and try to trigger both super potions on Meditite. It's completely safe, all Meditite has is Focus Punch, which, even if it landed, would barely tickle me. So I'll skip to when I decide it's time to put Meditite out of its misery with a single Gust. The reason why I spent so much time trying to trigger the 2 potions is that I need to use Thief on Makuhita to steal the citrus berry, and that will give it the chance to set up a bulk up. Or to deal 4 damage with Vital Throw, okay. Better safe than sorry, I guess. I was just fearing a scenario where Makuhita would somehow set up enough attack to activate with a crit the citrus berry I just stole. A bit crazy, I know. Anyway, Broly is defeated, 2 badges in the bag already, time to move on. Can I just say how good it feels to be annihilating the early game after I had to put up with some truly awful Pokémon. Look how smooth is this late pot rival. Cast, a 40 base power move, can basically sweep this fight with no setup required. I say basically because Combusken does have the stats to barely tank one hit, but I can simply chip away some HP with Thief first. Maybe if Combusken went for Ember and proc the 10% burn, it would have made things a bit harder, but even then I don't see May ever winning this battle. Unironically, I'm much more concerned about the triathlete a bit further ahead, the one with nothing but a single level 15 Magnemite in her team. I have no good options against Steel types, in fact Mega Drain is the best I can do, and as you can see, Thundershock deals about the same damage despite a 9 levels gap. Had Magnemite critted, proc Paralysis or sold its soul to perform some evil supersonic shenanigans, I might have had to reset to this random, usually unoffensive trainer. And if a level 15 Magnemite was so bad, what am I gonna do against Watson, who has a level 22 Magneton along with 3 other Pokémon? Well, first of all, I'll need to exploit the Daycare. My rule set allows me to train multiple Pokémon, so there is no harm in using the breeding mechanics to find a Pokémon with better and more specific IVs. Believe me, this would take an enormous amount of time without external tools, and is one of the main reasons I decided I would skip grinding in this type of runs. I just figured it was a good moment to point that out. Anyway, a new Beautifly will take on Watson, but raw stats are not enough to have a chance here. First of all, I'll use the move tutor in Slatepot to teach the move Swagger. Then, since I now have access to the Game Corner TMs, I'll go ahead and teach TM29 as well, aka Psychic. An extremely powerful move for this stage of the game, and as we've already seen, Beautifly has a more than respectable special attack to back it up. Still, no matter how stronger I can get, I'm playing with a flying type into the electric gym. So what you're about to see is not an easy battle. First is Voltorb, and for once I'm able to outspeed it. However, I don't have enough damage to one-shot it with a single Psychic, so I'll have to tank one hit. Spark is a bit worse than Shockwave, but thankfully it didn't proc the Paralysis. And since I got a low roll with Psychic, Watson won't use a Super Potion, allowing me to finish off Voltorb with a second attack. Electrike is not gonna be a threat, it never is honestly, but I'd prefer it uses Howl turn 1 so that I can get back to full thanks to Morning Sun. Luckily, Howl is by far its most common opening, so all I have to do now is to select Psychic for the one shot. It's a perfect start. I can't hope for a better position to fight Watson's 2 main Pokémon. The Gen 3 switch logic makes so that I'll have to face Manectric first, and I think I have a cool plan for it. First of all, I'm gonna use Psychic, which is guaranteed to not drop Manectric's HP below half. And since I'm faster, surprise surprise, Manectric goes for Thunder Wave, activating my berry. It sucks that I burned my free Paralysis heal, but that also means I'm currently not holding any item. So by using Thief, not only I'm guaranteeing a kill with Psychic the next turn, but I'm also granting myself a 30 HP heal for later. The big problem is I'll have to finish this battle paralyzed, and let's say that's less than ideal. I'm not outspeeding anymore obviously, and a big Shockwave, despite my very well trained special defense, takes away almost 50 HP. Luckily Paralysis doesn't activate, and I'm able to finish off Watson's Ace with Psychic. Now, thanks to the Citrus Berry, I won't be in Magneton's kill range, but since I'm already paralyzed, Magneton will attack me. As you might already expect, all we got for this matchup is Swagger, and hopefully good RNG. Sonic Boom definitely puts me in kill range, but I managed to land the Swagger through the Paralysis and it's not perfect accuracy. So if now Magneton hits itself in confusion, I might be able to heal back with Morning Sun. And from there, I'll just need to get lucky enough to win. Never mind, here's the shockwave, so I go down. I didn't expect to win on the first try anyway. I don't even remember when was the last time I was able to pull off a first try win against Watson. Maybe it was in the Zangus run. This fight is just brutal. And look, there's no denying I'm trying a bit of a scam strategy to get past Magneton, but the game really went out of its ways to demoralize me. Look what happens to the second try. After a crit with Shockwave from Voltorb, I have to heal back and then buy a turn with Swagger to put things back on track. And odds were in my favor, until Voltorb decided to blow up from full HP. And so I tried again just to get to the Magneton, and ironically dying to the 50% accurate Supersonic into double self-hit. Then a turn 1 self-destruct from Voltorb, and just to finish this list of honorable mentions, as if the game heard me disrespecting Electrike, this thing went ahead and instead of the usual howl, performed a double high roll crit with Shockwave, taking me down all by itself. I did have a couple of lucky moments too, like this one, where as I land the Psychic on Manectric, I get the special defense drop. At this point, it's not even worth to steal the Citrus Berry. It's much better to go straight for the kill, so that I won't face Magneton while paralyzed from the get-go. Outspeeding Magneton is a big advantage, as it gives the chance to confuse it before it can make a move, but unfortunately the Sonic Boom went through the coin flip confusion. Still better than Thunder Wave in my opinion, but I now need to replenish my HP with Morning Sun. I really need the confusion to work its magic here. Oh, give me a break. Please game, don't make me do this again. There's people watching and it's getting real painful. Finally a self-hit, but we are far from winning. Psychic damage is not as high as I'd wish and... Oh. A second special defense drop? Don't mind if I do. Now I do have a shot, but I need to play around the two super potions. I see an angle here. Magneton is likely going to snap out of confusion, so I could try and go for Swagger. Yeah, I got it right. And no paralysis, so we're good. From this position, thanks to the drop I got, a self-hit into a Psychic should be enough to take down this monster. Not gonna lie, we are against the odds. Come on Magneton, you do owe me another self-hit here. Okay, good. Please attack. Yes, finally. It took me a total of 7 resets, so not too bad all things considered, but it did involve a medium degree of suffering. I'm glad to leave this fight behind me, and with the third badge, we are off to the mid-game. As a bug flying Pokémon, Beautifly has a type disadvantage against half of the gyms, and one of them is the very next one. Having to face Flannery right after Watson is somewhat cruel, but we do have one more option available now. It's a move I tend to refrain from using because it virtually gives infinite coverage to every Pokémon, and in doing so I'm afraid it might make every run very samey. The move I'm talking about is Hidden Power, an attack whose typing depends on the IVs of the Pokémon and has a base power ranging from 30 to 70. So with enough patience I could breed the Beautifly with a water-type Hidden Power strong enough to make easier the Flannery fight. And I ended up doing exactly that. Yes, because my other options would have been to heavily rely on Swagger, we already did that, or use the forbidden move Double Team. And there's nothing less interesting or creative than that. As you probably guessed, the Beautifly you're seeing sweeping Maxi is the same that's gonna take care of the Fire Gym. But as a demonstration that Hidden Power by itself can't carry a fight, I need 2 more things before attempting the gym. One is a beloved move of mine, Mimic. I can find the move tutor in Lava Ridge. And the other thing I need to do is to pre-damage my Beautifly. After all this rambling about moves, strategies and whatnot, it's finally time for some action. Let's see the battle against Flannery. Flannery's first Pokémon is Numel, also known as Small Free Bag of Experience that's going to give me a much welcome level up from the get-go. My Water Hidden Power has a base power of 68 by the way, so it's a very strong one too. Not that I needed all that damage for Numel, and I do not need it to one-shot Slugma either, but I'm not taking down Slugma just yet. At 51 HP, Slugma will always see the kill with Overheat, and thanks to Morning Sun I can survive given it doesn't crit. The damage it deals is high enough to put me once again in kill range, so I just need to repeat the same sequence. But this time, even if at the end of the turn I'm down to only 28 HP, Slugma has such a crippled special attack that it doesn't have any kill potential. I'm still going to heal with Morning Sun, but yeah, Sunny Day is what I expected the most. Now, this Slugma has Light Screen, and that's the move I want to use Mimic for. I created the perfect conditions for my plan to work, so now it's basically a waiting game. A game that I'm prepared to play for a long time thanks to Flash. Well, thank you Slugma. Of course, I can't just copy Light Screen, set it up and move on. With the strong sunlight and the enemy Light Screen active, my water move only deals a quarter of its damage. I need to finish off Slugma at a very specific moment so that all those factors won't affect the rest of the battle. The best way to achieve this is to chip away some HP to ensure a kill once the sunlight fades. I'm not worried about smog since I have a Pecha Berry equipped, and then set up a Light Screen myself. This very turn the sunlight fades, so it's time to land the final blow. This is just perfect. As Camerupt comes out, the Light Screen wears off, making it an easy prey for Valerie. No Camerupt can survive even drinking a sip of water, so the one-shot isn't surprising. On the other hand, it's unthinkable to one-tap Torkoal, and if I get unlucky here, I might lose the match. Thanks to my Light Screen, I'm not in kill range, so from this position Torkoal is most likely going to use Sunny Day, although there is a chance it selects Body Slam. A paralysis would be game over, but as I said, Sunny Day is the most probable choice. There were a couple of hidden power high rolls that would have triggered a potion, but thankfully I didn't get them, so now I'm free to take what remains of Torkoal's HP with one last hit. First try Flannery with a bug Pokémon. It's true that I relied on hidden power, but it wouldn't have been possible without Morning Sun and Beautifly's great offensive capabilities. With only 8 resets and already half of the badges acquired, I'd say Beautifly is keeping up with Dustox pretty well. In fact, reset-wise, it even has a slight advantage. We're soon jumping directly to the normal fight, and there's only one thing I want to say. At this point Dustox had Protect, Beautifly doesn't. It might not matter, but only one way to find out. It's not often that you see me going into a gym leader battle without my Pokémon at the edge of the level cap, but in this case I figured it was worth to give up some extra stats. This Beautifly has crazy good IVs, and while the nature and the EV training put the accent on the special attack, those defenses are enough to have a safe matchup against Spinda. The plan is to fully set up my defense with Harden, and I feel pretty comfortable doing so because at some point Spinda will give up using Facade and will switch to the weak Psybeam, so not even a crit concerns me. The usually dangerous confusion from Theta Dance won't lead to any serious damage either, given my abysmal attack and, well, the boosted defense. The only moment confusion gets problematic is towards the end. I need to Psychic to kill Spinda, and I want to snap out of confusion before landing the second one to avoid any unpleasant situation versus the rest of Norman's team. To my surprise, this wasn't a simple task. For whatever reason, at some point Spinda started to spam Tito Dance every turn, despite me being already confused. So I would snap out and get confused again right away. Maybe I got a bit impatient, maybe I could have stalled a bit more to find the perfect moment, but at that point I didn't feel like even trying to play around this random AI and selected Psychic, hoping to snap out of confusion the next turn. At level 31, Beautifly learns Attract, and that's the reason I didn't start the battle at the level cap. Now I don't need Harden anymore, so replacing it with a new move is a no-brainer. Now, theoretically speaking, Vigoroth is free. It has Feint Attack, which counts as special in Generation 3, so despite how weak it is, it's still the best damaging move it has right now. But experience tells me it can randomly select Slash, probably due to its increased critical ratio, so I'm eager to take it down as soon as possible, even if that means falling to almost half HP in the process. I'll get the chance to heal up against Linoone anyway. It has Lash as well, but it also has a tendency to use Belly Drum whenever it sees it can deal much damage. This is not the case, but I'll just have to hit it twice with Psychic. It's a bit scary because from this position a high roll crit from Linoone can destroy me. And speaking of critical hits, nice. Last is Laking. Surprisingly enough, I'm not too concerned about his damaging moves. Feint Attack will always be chosen over Facade, and it's fairly easy to play even around a crit. What I'm afraid of is Yawn. So in the off chance of a large amount of sleeping turns into 1 or 2 critical hits, I use Attract to make Truant an even more punishing ability. And Thief, to even have that free heal in case I'm unable to select Morning Sun. Probably this is overkill and I'm overthinking it, but at least I'm sure you'll forgive me if I skip a couple of minutes ahead to the moment where Norman had no more hyper potions and I landed the final hit. Using Thief because I ran out of psychics. Anyway, we are done here. Norman's badge is gonna give me a nice defense boost and I feel like we'll need it very soon. With a level cap of only 2 levels higher and without any worthy opponent between me and Fortree City, I don't have much to talk about. Except of course some obvious statement about how Winona looks like a nightmare. Yet again, I am at a type disadvantage and my opponent has a steel type. Getting past Winona's Skarmory was probably the most painful task of the Dustox run, and it's safe to assume this won't be much better. I might have something in mind. Let's see if my plan works. First is Swablu. While it's Winona's weakest Pokémon, it is not to be trusted because it knows Parry Song and that equals to an instant reset. Nonetheless, I have no choice but to give it a turn to attack because one-shotting is not within my possibilities. Swablu thankfully goes for Mirror Move and the damage is unsurprisingly pathetic. You might have noticed something pathetic in my moveset as well. Yeah, you don't need to tell me how awful it is to rely on Double Team. In fact, since Beautifly is trying to learn Silver Wind, I'll get rid of it immediately. Second is Tropius, and if everything goes according to plan, this Pokémon will lead me to victory. This is Tropius' moveset. It's true that Stab Aerial Ace is not to be underestimated, but other than that, Tropius only has Solar Beam, so boosting my defense with Harden will allow me to completely wall this Pokémon. And while it has Sunny Day to activate Chlorophyll, the ability that doubles speed during sunlight, and to boost the healing from Synthesis, Morning Sun gets a nice boost as well, and as you will see, I actually want this Tropius to survive. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. All you need to know about this setup is that Aerial Ace's highest crit roll is 66, so I played around it correctly most of the times. And once I have enough defense, it's time to spam Silver Wind. The idea is to fish for an Omni Boost which might sound silly given it has only a 10% chance of activating, but it's not that crazy when you consider I can use Silver Wind up to 10 times thanks to my Leppa Berry. My odds of getting at least one Omni Boost are actually slightly above 65%. So you see why this Tropius is perfect. No matter how much damage I deal with Silver Wind, it will always be able to recover and tank all 10 of them. Sadly, my first attempt wasn't blessed by a single Omni Boost. Fast forwarding a bit, you see that I didn't even get to the Skarmory. Altaria proc the paralysis with Dragon Breath and took me down immediately after. But, and I'm not going again through the entirety of the Tropius stall for everyone's sake, on the very next attempt I got the Omni Boost after 5 Silver Wind. Of course, I would have loved a second Omni Boost, that would have made things even more consistent, but even just one makes a world of a difference. At the very last turn, Tropius gets a crit, that sucks, and I get a crit as well. A proper ending for this long-lasting duel. Thanks to the boost, Pelipper won't see the kill with Watergun, and we all know it's gonna use Protect. A perfect occasion to heal back some precious HP. A +1 on the special attack is not enough to one-shot with Psychic, but Pelipper uses its turn to miss a Supersonic, so we're good. Hopefully this time I'll be able to get my revenge against Altaria. I couldn't find a proper way to play around Dragon Breath Paralysis, so here I can just use Psychic and hope it wastes enough turns with Dragon Dance. A second good Psychic roll makes so that the Oran Berry is not enough to put Altaria out of potion range, so the battle gets prolonged a bit. By the way, I probably pointed this out before, but how weird is that Broly already has a Citrus Berry on its ace, and here at the 6th gym we have such a drastic downgrade. Anyway, I'm getting very lucky dodging all these paralysis, but the damage is adding up, so I must use Morning Sun. I only have 2 more of those. Come on, we are close to the end. I need one more Psychic after this one. Altaria goes for Dragon Breath. And we're good. Or so I hope. Skarmory is yet to show up. Altaria gives a ton of experience, so at least I have an unusual level advantage going for me. First of all, I need to heal. Aerial's highest crit is 72, so I'll try to play around it as much as possible. Good thing Skarmory only has physical options, my hardened setup is extremely effective. And my good special attack, along with the boost, does give good results. Look at that psychic damage. Unfortunately, Skarmory throws in the mix an accuracy drop with Sand Attack. Winona has no potions left, come on. 2 more hits. Here's one, lucky me. Aerial Ace, crit. Unlucky me. No way I'm risking it, I better use the last Morning Sun and then go for the final hit. If it crits, it crits. Not much I can do. Okay, can we finish this one now? Come on. Game. Please, don't do this to me, not now. I know I did, but let me ask anyway. Did I just miss 3 Psychic in a row due to a single Sand Attack? And for dramatic effect, I'm also down to the very last Psychic. Oh, thank you. Oof. Imagine losing to BS of that degree after all that trouble. Winona is finally defeated, I hate her and I hate her Skarmory, but I won on the second try, which is amazing. As I got to 4-3, I went pretty much straight for the gym and I ignored a lot of new things I had access to, simply because they weren't useful for the Winona battle. Now it's time to gather everything at my disposal. In the route East 4-3, I pick up the Sunny Day TM, that not only, as we've seen, can give a nice boost to Morning Sun, but also pairs very well with TM22 Solar Beam, which can be found in the Safari Zone. Another important TM is Shadow Ball from Mount Pyre, and finally the TMs from the department store in Lily Cove. I need to beat May one last time to access the building, but with the Titan Liza level cap, this battle is a real joke, so not worth to spend time talking about it. Among the TMs that can be bought here, Beautifly can learn only the ones for Protect, Safeguard and Hyper Beam. Maybe not great, however, having access to the building means I can now exploit the move tutor for Substitute. I always say this: Substitute is unfairly OP against the Gen 3 AI, so I do tend to avoid using it if I can, but it's a necessary evil to make most of these runs possible and or consistent. And admittedly, sometimes Substitute enables some pretty cool strategies too. One final little thing I can now use are Lamberries, which can be great, since they are basically full heals. Anyway, I don't see a reason to bother showing the tedious part where I have to face the Team Aqua and the Team Magma, except for the Maxi fight. This one is very interesting to me, because I ended up using a new strategy, one I never used before, and starting the run I wasn't expecting anything like it. And my friend Antoine is quite literally born for it. Leading with a poison Pokémon is a hint, seeing Facade in the moveset gives away my plan completely. But there's more to it. The attack drop from Intimidate makes using physical moves very awkward. My idea is to bait a Swagger to compensate and raise my attack to a +1. What you see here is a bit unfortunate, I'll soon explain why, but it's still fine since I had a Persim Berry to get rid of the confusion. Safeguard will make sure I won't get confused for a while. So right now I could already one-shot my Tiena and the Camerupt right after, but Crobat would destroy me at the end. So what I'm going to do is to carefully set up to harden. My Tiena has no other options besides Takedown, so as long as I keep an eye on potential crits and on the poison damage, I can manage to safely boost my defense. Also notice how I speed tie with my Tiena. That's a crucial part of the plan, because this way my Tiena won't use Scary Face and I'll get the chance to use Safeguard right before Swagger, resulting in a free attack boost. I didn't win the speed tie at the beginning of the battle, hopefully I'll win this one. As soon as I'm no longer protected by Safeguard, I set it up again, this time before my Tiena can confuse me. Swagger misses, in the end winning the speed tie didn't really matter, so now all is left to do is Morning Sun and then start the sweep with Facade. The combination between Beautifly's decent attack and a very specific moveset is what makes this strategy possible, and in my opinion, it's beautiful. Every move was essential to make this work. Without Harden, for example, I would simply die to Crobat. Well, I guess Aircutter does have an increased critical ratio. On the very next attempt, Crobat goes for Wing Attack instead, which, by the way, was more likely to be selected due to a slightly higher damage output, and this time there's no crit, robbing me a deserved win. An unusually intense battle against Maxi, I have to say, and what's coming next I believe will keep the tension up. The double battle against Tate and Liza, my favorite fight in these solo runs. While approaching the 7th gym, I always must clarify that, since Tate and Liza don't allow me to challenge them with only one Pokémon, I have to bring into the battle a second one. And given my level cap rule, it's often impossible to get past this fight without an actual, well-trained second Pokémon. However, I never shy from a challenge, and I explored the possibility of bringing with me nothing more than a Beautifly and a Magikarp. I spent literal hours to figure out a way to pull off the 2v1, and eventually I might have found a way that pushes to the extreme Beautifly's limits. Let's jump into the Tate and Liza fight. Starting the battle, there is one thing you should know about this Claydol. Whenever it sees a kill with Earthquake in the field, it will always prioritize it over any other potential kill. So this Magikarp not only will be focused by Zatu's Psychic, it will also bait Claydol to use what at that point will be a useless move. This little mechanic is crucial. Claydol knows Ancient Power, and due to Louis' truly awful physical defense, its 60 base power would be enough to one-shot. so killing Claydol is a top priority. A second Silver Wind will do the trick, and Xatu going for Calm Mind is about what I expected. Once my Beautifly scores the kill and reaches level 43, it will become faster than Xatu, and the extra stats are all gonna be as important. Solrock comes out because it's the one with a super effective move, and since he doesn't see the kill, it's guaranteed to set up a Sunny Day. That's how the AI works in this battle. The only variable factor is Xatu. Silver Wind chips away some HP, and another Calm Mind. That's very good. Also, I'm not trying to get an Omni boost, but as you can imagine, one would be very welcome. Anyway, right now with a +2 special attack, Xatu can one-shot me from full HP, and Solrock is ready to spit out a sun-boosted flamethrower. I need to wrap this battle up as soon as possible. First I take care of Xatu. Shadow Ball is guaranteed to kill from here, but I don't have much breathing room as Lunaton is sent out to replace the bird immediately. It's fine, from here odds are in my favor. Flamethrower will deal enough damage to trigger my berry, and at that point... oh no. It's no surprise that this battle leaves no space to bad RNG. Luckily I get an identical attempt immediately after. Xatu behaved exactly the same, so here we are again, finishing it off with Shadow Ball and watching Lunaton come out. Please Solrock, behave this time, no funny crits. Good. That was a lot of damage of course, but the Citrus Berry is enough to put me out of Lunaton's kill range. And that's all that matters, because in an excellent display of how good is Beautifly's special attack, I shoot a massive 1-turn Solar Beam to 1-tap Solrock. Only way I lose now is Hypnosis from Lunaton or crit. Calm Mind is good, but I for sure can kill with Solar Beam now, and next turn a Psychic will take me down. So what I'm gonna do is substitute. And I don't care if that gets destroyed immediately. My goal was just to lower my HP enough to activate Swarm. You didn't forget about Beautifly's ability, right? And that 50% boost on back moves is all I need to land one final Silver Wind for the win. Not gonna lie, I'm proud of this victory. But I should say I didn't show the very first attempt because it died right away to a sneaky Confuse Ray from Xatu. Still, only 2 resets to win a brutal battle like this is insanely good. One final stretch separates us from the Pokémon League. The last battles against the 2 team leaders are fairly uneventful. The double battle against Maxi and his admin at the Space Center is less dangerous than it looks. I just need to use Safeguard to avoid confusion shenanigans. And Archie... well... I honestly messed this up real bad, but surprisingly the game did not punish me. With a much more offensive approach, I equipped a White Herb to get rid of the Intimidate attack drop and went straight for the one-shot with Silver Wind on my Tiana. Probably I still had in mind the Maxi 2 fight where Crobat was sent out last. But Archie has no reason to use Torpedo second, so here I am, caught off guard by a rather obvious scenario. Crobat is that single Pokémon I'm not able to outspeed this run, so even if I have Safeguard, it's too late now to avoid a Confuse Ray. However, I already said the game isn't going to punish my mistake. In an uncanny good Confusion RNG, not only I'm able to land a Psychic, but I also get the least possible amount of Confusion turns. So after Archie wastes the turn with an embarrassing Super Potion, I snap out of Confusion, land another strong Psychic, and at that point the win is already in the bag. Torpedo is so frail I could have one-shot it even at -1 attack. Archie is down, and since we don't really care about the whole quest to wake up Rayquaza, I think we can skip ahead to the last gym leader battle in Sootopolis. The best word to describe the one fight is probably straightforward. All I need to do is to set up a Sunny Day against Love Disc, and then it's just me spamming Solar Beam and Giga Drain. A Lamberry is an easy way to play around Sweet Kiss, and there's really not much it can go wrong from here onward. I guess there is one thing, but the way Juan sends out his Pokémon really helps with that. Celio and Kindra are the only ones with a super effective move, so they are sent out first, and this means by the time Kindra comes out, I'll still have a couple of Sunlight turns left. Solar Beam can two-shot Kindra and I'm not in kill range, which is good of course, but that means we have to deal with at least one double team. Yeah, if there's one thing you can count on, is this Pokémon trying to cheese a double team setup. Well, that's not going very far this time, and once Kindra is defeated, only Whiscash and Crodant are left, and those, one due to a 4 times weakness to grass, and the other due to a very low special defense and HP, are not able to survive even the much weaker Giga Drain. A quick and easy battle. I feel we didn't have many of these during the run. With the last badge in the bag, it's about time to start thinking about the final gauntlet of the game. The Pokémon League is our next and last stop, but first there is a fight against Wally. A fight that is not usually too difficult, but to get past it, I had to swallow my pride a bit. I'll explain what I mean. First, let's deal with Altaria. I'm not really enthusiastic of facing one more of these, but it's more manageable this time. The Beautifly I'm using is a physical attacker, and thanks to the Seal Scarf it will be able to two-shot Altaria with return. A great move that did not see much action this run. I'm not too worried about Dragon Dance. Altaria is not guaranteed to attack here, and even if it does, only a crit can kill me. Alright then. I do not appreciate losing to Wally like this, but at least it was irritating enough to not make me feel too bad about relying on Hidden Power again. Yeah, because even at the end of the game, I still don't have a way to deal with Steel types, especially if that Steel type is a Magneton with Thunderbolt. As you can see, this time Altaria didn't cause any trouble, and thanks to a ground Hidden Power, Magneton is an easy one-shot. Speaking of moves I tend to avoid using, I'll soon have to set up a substitute as well. Third is Delcatty, and since I'm running a physical build, I cannot risk getting my attack dropped by Charm. Case in point, and I am extra glad I went for substitute because it also ended up saving me from Sing. I told you, the Gen 3 AI does not know how to deal with this move. Anyway, the last two Pokémon are nothing complicated. Silverwind only has a 70% chance to one-shot Gardevoir, but even missing the range wouldn't be a problem considering how this Gardevoir is guaranteed to waste the first turn with Future Sight. And I don't low roll, so no problem at all. And finally, Roselia has no physical defense, so it dies to a simple return. Wally got us once this time, but still, this is a very strong run. The Pokémon League is the ultimate test. As per usual, I have trained 5 new Pokémon to deal with the final gauntlet, each with a different level cap based on the corresponding opponent. At this point of the run, Dustox had a couple more resets, so looks like Beautifly is actually ahead of the competition. But as always, the final climb to the top is where the true value of a Pokémon is revealed. Sydney is here, and is ready to try to stop me. So, I don't think I need to say much here. What is about to happen speaks for itself. I can only add that after the Wizmu run, this is exactly what I needed. It's the perfect revenge against Sydney, and I intend to enjoy it to the fullest. Like, I didn't need to be at 1 HP to have Swarm active, and there's no real reason to delete every move other than Silverwind, but I wanted this to be the ultimate flex. An Elite 4 member getting swept by a 60 base power move without any setup is not something you see every day. Doesn't matter what happens or how many resets will cost me the rest of the league. After this fight, Beautifly definitely won me over. There are quite a few Pokémon that make Phoebe a pushover, because it's very easy to exploit her leading Dusclops for a setup. Beautifly technically only knows Harden as far as setup moves go, but as we've seen before, there is something else. Let's see the battle. As per usual, to deal with Dusclops, it's pretty much mandatory to set up a substitute to prevent despicable moves like Confuse Ray and especially Curse to completely doom the attempt. My plan here is to get an Omni Boost from Silverwind, a strategy I already used against Winona, and that, on paper, might look even better here since I had the chance to use a PP Max beforehand. Thanks to a Lepa Berry, it results in a total of 16 Silverwind, which means even higher Omnibus chances. But the truth is, this time, this is a horrible idea. Whenever you hit the opponent with a move that is resisted by another Pokémon in their team, the enemy trainer has a chance to switch out if said Pokémon also has a super effective move. This Banette has Thunderbolt, and luckily it's squishy enough to go down before using it, but now Phoebe will send out the level 51 Dusclops since it has Rock Slide and Ice Beam. Without at least one Omni Boost, I have very little chances to win, so yeah, this is a reset. Aside from desperate situations, I do not save between Elite Four members, so every time I lose, I have to start over again. Luckily, as we've seen, Sydney is nothing more than a confidence boost, so we are free to fully focus on Phoebe. First of all, I want to say that I wasn't fully secure that the AI would switch even when the move is already resisted by the Pokémon already in the field. In fact, I thought it didn't. But still, that's not the only reason my strategy was completely inadequate. Even without switches, I underestimated the amount of PP Dusclops can make me waste using Protect, and most importantly, I entirely glossed over the fact it has the ability Pressure. So my 16 potential Silverwind turn out to be only 8, and then Protect realistically brings down that number to something like 5. This goes to show how many things there are to consider when planning these fights, and how easy it is to miss a detail. In this case it wasn't one, and it wasn't a detail, but you get the point. Anyway, I ended up resetting against Phoebe 3 more times before deciding to make a change of plan. And the funny thing is that I accidentally came up with the exact same strategy I used with Dustox. This is what I'm gonna do. Once I'm safe behind a substitute, I just need to stall a couple of turns, just waiting for Dusclops to try and use Curse. Once that happens, I immediately go for Mimic, hoping Dusclops doesn't deny it with Protect. And once I have Curse, I can use it for that attack boost I was so desperately fishing for with the previous strategy. To avoid the speed debuff that comes with Curse, I equipped a White Herb, and from here I'm all good to outspeed and Shadow Ball through Phoebe's team. We spent already a lot of time talking about this fight, so let me speed up a little. Both Dusclops will need 2 hits to go down, but I don't risk to faint in the process thanks to my substitute. Banette is a frail Pokémon, so both go down in a single hit. And while Sableye has Double Team, it would take some insanely bad RNG to make it impact the outcome of the battle. Phoebe is defeated, we can now finally proceed to the next room. The upcoming battle is what I anticipate to be the hardest of the run. Glacia has a team packed with strong ice moves like Ice Beam and Blizzard, and Beautifly doesn't really have a good answer for all of her Pokémon. I came up with something, but it's easier to show you. First of all, let me clarify that Glacia would require me to rely on Double Team if it wasn't for, once again, Hidden Power. Jean's one is of the Fire type with a base power of 70, so the maximum possible. Of course, even with a Charcoal equipped, using it against Celio leads to some unimpressive results. Truth is, I was awkwardly wasting the first turn waiting for Celio to set up Hail. Now I can set up Sunny Day, and thanks to a delicate balance between my defenses, I know Celio will use Ice Ball, and one Ice Ball, thanks to the few HP missing from the beginning and after the single Hail turn, is guaranteed to drop my HP under 82. A one-turn Solar Beam is more than enough to take down Celio, giving me an important level up. At level 54 with this setup, as long as Sunny Day is active, Hidden Power can just barely one-shot both Glalie. And Solar Beam is good enough to one-shot the level 52 Celio as well. This looks very smooth right now, but there is an evident problem I'm ignoring. There's a Walrus in the room. Warrain ain't getting one-shot by a Beautifly, that's not happening. On the other hand, it can easily one-shot me, so what can I do? Here's my plan. As long as I have less than 85 HP, now that the sunlight faded, Warrain will see the kill with both Surf and Ice Beam. If I use Sunny Day again and it goes for Surf, like this, then I'll be able to tank the hit. At 33 HP, Warrain can also see the kill with Body Slam, so right now there's only a 1 in 3 chance it goes for Ice Beam. And Ice Beam is the only move able to kill me after Giga Drain. Come on now, give me that sweet first try victory. Damn it! Okay, I know this strategy is not reliable, but you have to admit, this dance around key ranges is kinda cool. And to be honest, I don't think there's any other way. This battle is what I call a short blanket one, because like a too short blanket, the moment you try to cover one part, then you have a problem on the opposite side. There are simply not enough stats, not enough move slots, not enough sun turns to make it work perfectly. Whenever you fix one aspect, you realize you create a problem elsewhere. Nonetheless, what you're seeing is my very next attempt, and this time I get a double Surf from Warrain. And then, thanks to the strong sunlight, I can finish off Warrain with Solar Beam, resulting in a second try victory. Glacia was the one with the most prominent type advantage among the Elite 4 members, but it's not gonna be the last tough opponent. Drake's team is full of strong Pokémon, and there are a lot of flying, fire and rock moves they can use against me. If I want to have a chance, I'll have to yet again rely on a certain move. Hopefully that will be enough to secure the win. Let's see. The move I'm talking about is of course Hidden Power, that this time will serve as a decent Ice-type attack. Even if Shelgon has a strong tendency to use Protect turn 1, I didn't feel like jeopardizing this attempt and gave up the idea to set up a Harden or something similar. I've seen Shelgon going straight for Rock Tomb too many times in the past. Anyway, Hidden Power is enough to one-shot Shelgon, and Altaria, Flygon and Salamence are all 4 times weak to Ice, so they will go down in one hit as well. I know, Hidden Power is a bit unfair, but what was I supposed to do here? Salamence can one-shot with Rock Slide even if I fully EV-train my physical defense, and surviving wouldn't do much without a strong attack to retaliate. Also, not every Pokémon would be able to sweep Drake with a 70 base power move that doesn't benefit from Stab. At the end of the day, Beautifly's high special attack is doing half of the work here. Also, there's one Pokémon that's not gonna be impressed by an average Ice-type attack. To deal with Kingdra, I'm gonna have to set up Sunny Day and then land 2 Solar Beam in a row, which is not a guaranteed since Kingdra goes for Smokescreen right away. Considering that Kingdra has Dragon Dance and Body Slam, it's easy to see how I need to wrap up the battle as soon as possible. Landing the first Solar Beam is encouraging, and Surf is more than manageable thanks to the strong sunlight. Come on, one more hit. Yes, very good. An Ice and Clean Drake fight is always pleasant, even if I had to rely one last time on Hidden Power. Dustox only had to use it once if I'm not mistaken, but on the other hand, Beautifly here has a real chance to finish the run with the least amount of resets. All is left is Wallace. In the Champions team, there are 3 Pokémon with a strong Ice move. And while it's true that my grass coverage is gonna be helpful, Waller's team is very well rounded, so I strongly doubt Giga Drain and Solar Beam by themselves will be enough to carry. Victory is one step away from us. Can Beautifly take it home? The champion is in front of us, let's fight him. There is one big variable factor when it comes to this fight, and that is Wailord. On the first turn, Wailord might use Blizzard, Water Spout or Rain Dance, and in this case I have no good way to force one move. The best I can do is to use a Beautifly with a special defense high enough to be able to tank one hit, and use Toxic turn 1. Oh come on, that's such a bad way to lose this, because not only I missed my move, but Wailord made it worse by using Water Spout. With a Rain Dance, I maybe could have saved this attempt. The idea was to exploit Wailord's huge HP pool to recover a very large amount of HP with Giga Drain and then let the poison put it in potion range. Whatever, I'll just show you the next time I reach the champion. Unless... Oh. Very well then. I guess I took a shortcut? My goal was to finish Wailord at full HP. Looks like I got what I wanted. Okay, let's focus. Milotic is gonna be second, and its highest Ice Beam roll is 110. It might go for it anyway, but as long as it doesn't see a kill, there's a good chance it uses Toxic instead. Counting on that, I go for Substitute. Okay, Toxic, perfect. I will now select Toxic myself, hoping to not miss it a second time in a row. And if landing it was already good enough, Milotic wastes yet another turn. It would surprise you how often Milotic behaves like this, but nonetheless, I'm having some decent luck here. Once I get the poison, it's a matter of staying healthy and trying to keep Milotic's HP as low as possible. Giga Drain helps with both tasks, and at this point, I'm not too worried of losing the Substitute. Milotic's HP is below half. This means it will go for recover, giving me the chance to set up another one. So we're back in the same position as before, except that in the meantime, the toxic damage is quickly ramping up, so from now on, it will by itself put Milotic in recover range. All I have to be careful about is to never fall below 110 HP. Other than that, I have all the time to set up a new substitute, and from there it's only a matter of attacking at the right moment to avoid triggering a full restore. A special defense drop from Psychic, while not necessary, is very welcome because now I can go for the final blow a bit earlier than expected. The worst is behind me, but it's not over yet. Tentacruel is next, and same as Milotic, it can either attack or use Toxic. The latter would be better of course, but losing the substitute is not a big issue. I'm at full HP, and soon I'll get the chance to set up a new one. But first, let's finish off Tentacruel with a second Psychic. After all, it is the main reason I had to include this move in my moveset. Might be surprising, but if not for Tentacruel, I probably would have picked Aerial Ace. And here's the reason. Ludicolo is next, and its main gimmick is using Leech Seed into Double Team. Absolutely disgusting, but it is what it is. Substitute will keep me safe from Leech Seed, and here's the first evasion boost. What I need now is to land Toxic. Once it applies, Poison is reliable damage. Great. And Surf is a bit alarming, but to be honest, as long as I don't miss at a crucial moment, I'm fine with Ludicolo attacking me. Using Substitute is not going to put me in kill range yet, and another Double Team. Okay, I might just go for the kill at this point. If I manage to land 2 Psychic in a row, the poison damage should be enough to kill Ludicolo without triggering a potion. 1 Psychic hits, fantastic, but there's no turning back at this point. If I don't land the second one, the poison will trigger a full restore. The third Double Team reduced this to a 50-50. Can I win the coin flip? Apparently, yes. Does it mean I'm gonna win on the first try? Because I'm pretty sure it does. Next is Whiscash, and shockingly enough, despite its infamous 4 times weakness to grass, it is the main reason I have a Miracle Seed equipped. Without it, Whiscash has good chances to survive and become something more than a free Hyper Potion. By the way, did you notice how terrible is Francois' physical defense? There is a good reason for that, and you are looking at it right now. Thanks to my extremely low physical defense, Gyarados sees a kill with Hyper Beam. Too bad I can use a substitute whenever I need it to tank a hit, and this pattern is ideal for a toxic strategy. It's not even going to take much time. The extra level I got after defeating Whiscash further boosted my special attack, making Psychic deal a very respectable amount of damage. So I guess that's it. We truly made count the one time we got past Glacia. Gyarados goes down, and with a surprisingly low reset amount of 18, Beautifly defeats Wallace and brings home a better result than Dustox. Maybe I ended up needing Hidden Power a lot, but still, Beautifly was able to pull off some very fun and unpredictable strategies. Despite looking like a very rough run, Beautifly ended up having the stats and the moves to make things work. Anyway, this is it for the Beautifly Hardcore Soul Run. I hope the video was enjoyable. I sure had fun playing through the run and putting everything together to share it with you. I didn't decide yet what will be the next solo run. I'm sure I'll find inspiration since there is still so many Pokémon to cover. But for now, nothing else to say, so you have a nice day. And as for me, back to theory crafting.